It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the president of Cal Poly, Dr. Jeffrey D. Armstrong.
Well, welcome everyone. First, welcome and congratulations to all our family, friends, and supporters here. Thank you for being here today. And graduates, congratulations. It is my honor to introduce your commencement speaker, Komal Ahmad. After graduating from Berkeley with honors, Komal chose to use her education and experiences to dramatically move the needle on solving the problem of hunger and food waste. She is CEO and founder of Copia, a company that has provided 1 million of the world's hungry people with over 800,000 pounds of food that would have otherwise been wasted. That's worth an applause right there in itself. We ask Komal to talk to you today because her ability to see the humanity of every single person aligns exactly with Cal Poly values. What she is doing reflects what you have learned from us over the past several years. And education cannot just change your own lives, but you can use it to improve the lives of others. She's received several accolades, including the University of California's Best 30 Under 30 and the Nelson Mandela Humanitarian Award. Her success stems from her fearlessness, her belief that it is possible to impact the world in meaningful ways, her evident view that her own happiness is tied up with the happiness and well-being of others, her tremendous lack of fear of failure, and her innovative spirit. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hello, President Armstrong, faculty, proud parents, friends, mom, dad, look, I made it too, and the magnificent 2017 class of Cal Poly. Congratulations! You guys finally made it, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you to celebrate this important milestone in your lives. Today is the day to honor all the hard work that got you to this moment. And so on this momentous day, as you leave the comforts and familiarity of this incredible school, and as some of you move into your parents' basements, I wanted to talk to you about the beauty of failure. I failed my way here today. Granted, my definition of failure has changed dramatically since I sat in your seats just 5 years ago. So I'm here to talk to you, millennial to millennial. Yes, parents, contrary to popular belief, sometimes we do talk to each other face to face. I like this crowd already. My journey began when I was a student at Berkeley and I was walking down Telegraph Avenue. I encountered a homeless man begging for food, and something about him compelled me to stop and invite him to join me for lunch. And during lunch, he sat across from me, just scarfing down his food. He was unbelievably hungry, wasn't a ploy for anything else, and in between bites, he shared a story. He said, "My name is John. I just came back from my second tour in Iraq. I've been waiting weeks for my military benefits to kick in, and because they haven't, I haven't eaten in 3 days." Imagine 3 whole days without food. And adding insult to injury, right across the street, Berkeley's dining hall was throwing away thousands of pounds of perfectly edible food. Like most of you, I was also reminded by my father, "Hey, Komal, don't throw away your food. People are starving in Pakistan." Though well-intentioned and true, what I realized after my lunch with John was that hunger is prevalent, not just in the poorest nations, but even in some of the wealthiest ones. I mean, even here in San Luis Obispo, such a beautiful city, 1 in 6 don't know where their next meal is coming from. Meanwhile, over 365 million pounds of perfectly edible food are wasted every single day. And to kind of wrap your mind around that, imagine the world's largest football stadium filled to its absolute brim. That's how much perfectly edible food goes wasted every day in America. So how is it that in a world with so much wealth, so much abundance, so much technology, so much innovation, people still go hungry? My company, Copia, has deemed hunger the world's dumbest problem. Because we know that it is not a lack of food that's the issue. It's an ineffective distribution of that food. Hunger is not a scarcity problem, it's a logistics problem. Resolving the disparity between excess and access has become my life's mission and Copia's purpose. We've built our platform to solve both hunger and food waste across America, and eventually the world. Had I never reached out to that homeless veteran, had I never looked up from my iPhone, had I never unplugged from my own reality, Copia would not exist. That day I fed one man. Because of his story, by the end of this year, Copia will feed 1 million people. Now, what I just told you is called the founder's story. Every startup has one. We look back at my life as the young, immigrant female founder and pick out the rosy bits. We draw a straight line from minor struggles to wild success. It's Silicon Valley's way of saying, we started from the bottom, now we're here. But even the rosy bits have their thorns. So instead of the idolized founder story, I thought it would be more useful to share what my life plans were after I graduated college and the lessons I learned when those plans went to complete shit. Sorry, parents. My parents escaped extreme poverty in Pakistan and brought me to America when I was 2 years old. They worked incredibly hard to provide for my brothers and I, and they wanted nothing more than a safe and secure future for us. So at an early age, they laid out 4 career options: doctor, lawyer, engineer, or complete failure. I always wanted to be a Bollywood actress. But ultimately, as you now know, I ended up doing something more realistic, like solving world hunger. But growing up as the only daughter of immigrant parents, I did what was expected of me, and I pursued the physician track. By the time I was 18, I had planned out my entire life: study biology at Berkeley, become a doctor by 25, and marry the love of my life and have my first kid by 28. Well, I turned 28 the other week, and I'm happily single. I don't have any kids, and I'm definitely not a doctor. The one thing I did do was fall in love. Not with a person, but an idea. Yeah, that was corny, but it's true. So graduates, here's lesson number 1. Write in pencil, preferably one with a very big eraser. I had wanted to be a doctor for as long as I could remember. I was on that path. And it was one random lunch with a hungry veteran that completely altered my life plan. But it also ultimately led me to finding my true purpose, my reason for being. Graduates, you can make all the life plans you want. Just remember not to do them in permanent ink. Draw them up in pencil where you can erase them, alter them, challenge and improve them as life unfolds. Nobody, not even you, can predict who you'll end up being in 5 years when you're my age. In the spring of 2014, despite my noble ambitions, my tiny nonprofit wasn't changing the world. Not even close. In fact, we were barely changing Berkeley. After 3 years, I was tired of struggling to fundraise, tired of sleeping on my friends' floors, tired of living on a box of pizza a week. That, combined with long, painful months of friends and family telling me to go find a real job, I lost my fire. I lost my passion. Before takeoff, flight attendants tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. You can't save your friend if you're dead, and I couldn't solve world hunger working 16 hours a day alone, deprived of my own will to carry on. I needed a pause, a reset. Hell, I needed a paycheck. It was finally time to put on my own oxygen mask. In July 2014, I got a job offer from Google, and I took it. I remember calling my parents and them being overjoyed. Well, if you're not going to be a doctor, you might as well work at Google. After the grind I had just been through, it was a dream come true. Or at least it should have been. My official title at Google was Account Technology Strategist. My real job, however, was listening to small business owners tell me how much they hated Google, how much they hated me, and how they felt we had cheated them out of their money. I felt more like an account technology therapist. I sat there and I listened to their complaints 8 hours a day, every day. The oxygen mask I thought would help me breathe was suffocating me instead. My performance was evaluated on customer surveys, how many calls I would take in a day, how many angry customer emails I could answer, and how quickly I could answer them. These are not the metrics of a life I was interested in living. And don't get me wrong, Google is an amazing company, but this job just wasn't for me. My performance showed my lack of enthusiasm for the job. After 6 months at Google, I was fired. My oxygen mask failed. My tiny world imploded. My life hit rock bottom. 2.5 years after graduating with honors from UC Berkeley and my whole life in front of me, I had been fired from an entry-level job answering phones. I remember calling my mother and in between tears, telling her that I was a complete failure and that I just didn't want to live anymore. I was so embarrassed and ashamed, I never even told my father until right now. He's actually finding out that I got fired with you guys today, so. So remember, graduates, if you're gonna have to break bad news to your parents, try to do it while you're giving Cal Poly's commencement address. It might soften the blow a little bit. Sorry, Dad, I love you. Lesson number 2. As it turns out, getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yes, it was a jarring experience. The feeling of failure shakes you to your very core, casting you into darkness and self-doubt. However, it is in this darkness that you are liberated to find out who you really are and what sustains you when all else has fallen away. Because I hit rock bottom, I was freed from my fears, my doubts, and the burdens of high expectations. My heart said, screw being afraid. It's time to do something that matters. So graduates, have faith that rock bottom can become the very foundation on which you build your new life. A few weeks later, I finally dragged myself out of bed and began searching for a new job. I spent my days at the library, mostly to be around productive people, and of course, to avoid the overwhelming desire to Netflix my life away. After a long day at the library applying for dozens of fancy titled jobs I wasn't particularly excited about, I passed an unusually long line of people outside of a church and watched them, one by one, leave with bags of food. It was a food pantry. I was confused. Most of these patrons didn't look homeless. Some wore suits. Some I even recognized as students in the library. But this was Silicon Valley. I mean, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods, not just in our country, but on the planet. People I would never have imagined went hungry every day. I felt my past knocking on the door, the idea I fell in love with so long ago. So before I knew it, I was back volunteering at that food pantry. I was on the front lines again, handing out food, feeding people. They weren't just numbers and statistics, but the true faces of resilience, of the human spirit, They were survivors. I soon started collecting extra food from my friends' food trucks and delivering it to local nonprofits. Then I contacted a few conference organizers for their excess food, and that ended up with us feeding tens of thousands of people every week. It still wasn't easy. I mean, I am trying to solve world hunger, right? There's no playbook for this. But I had grown from my mistakes, and I took a different route. I knew now that I couldn't do it alone, and started by recruiting a team around the mission. I had no money to pay them, which ended up being a great filter to finding the people that truly believed what I believe. Incredible humans who are still with me today. Fast forward to us partnering with the Super Bowl, where we recovered over 14 tons of food. And 14 tons of food is 4 16-foot refrigerated trucks filled from top to bottom, not with popcorn and hot dogs, but filet mignon, lobster rolls, $300 cheeses, pulled pork sandwiches. Not really my jam, but incredible food for the 23,000 people we fed that weekend. This year, we'll feed 1 million people, enough to fill up 12 NFL stadiums. Think about that. The Chargers can't even fill up one NFL stadium. Lesson number 3. Passion does not equate to success. I hope you remember, graduates, that passion alone is not enough. I had been passionate before, but flames of passion can be extinguished when confronted with the inevitable obstacles that come your way. You need to be more than passionate. Be hungry. Passion is what gets you started, but it's that hunger that keeps you going. Hunger is that insatiable drive that enables you to achieve something greater than yourself. So ask yourselves, what are you hungry for? There's another lesson here, right? You can't do this alone. So as you leave these halls, continue to surround yourself with the very best people. People, in the words of Les Brown, who are unstoppable, unreasonable. People who refuse to leave life as it is because they know if change is going to happen, it's up to them. And speaking of surrounding yourselves with the very best people, I know a pretty cool company that's hiring. GoCopia.com/jobs. I repeat, GoCopia.com/jobs. Graduates, surround yourself with the very best, whether that's your team, your family, your friends. With their help and your resolve, you will overcome whatever challenges come your way. I am living proof of that. If I'm here, you can be too. It is impossible to go through life without failing. But like Rocky taught us all, life isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Had I still been at Google, none of this would have happened. What felt like a setback at the time was really a setup for something that was far greater than me. So I told you my founder story, and now you've heard the real story. The beginning is the same, as is the outcome. But what's in the middle? The journey? That's where all the tough learnings happen. If you want to push the boundaries of conventional thinking to create something new, you will face periods of grinding self-doubt and failure. And when you get there, because you will get there, you will scroll through social media and see everyone else moving along just fine. You'll wonder why you're the only one failing, the only one falling behind. You'll have to confront your fear of failure, of what people, including your parents, will think and say. It isn't a one-time thing, as if one day you start volunteering at a food pantry and then bam, you're at the Super Bowl. No, time after time you will have to make the same difficult decisions, to take the risk, chase the dream, follow your heart. I want you to pursue what you love with everything that you have, trusting that beyond all reason, things will eventually work out. Graduates, the only way to let your failures define you is if you stop moving forward. Never stop moving forward. You will, as enshrined in Cal Poly's motto, continue to learn by doing. But that also requires you to learn by failing, because that's what leads to ultimate success. You might be scared to leave behind the beautiful campus you've come to call home and come join the real world. But because you're here today, you really don't have much of a choice. So acknowledge that fear, relish in that excitement, celebrate hard tonight, drink a lot of water tomorrow morning to cure the hangover, and then keep moving forward. Graduating from Cal Poly is an incredible honor, but with that comes an immense responsibility to do more, be more, achieve more. I ask you to make your mark not on history, but on the future. Class of 2017, grab your pencil, build your team, and keep moving forward. Congratulations, and go Mustangs.
Thank you so much, Komal. Your words and your story have inspired me today. I know they have inspired our graduates, and we are grateful for what you did for John and what you do for the whole world. Thank you again for being with us today.